Hello, Ed McClements here again. In this video, we're going to take a look at all the various types of retirement plans that could qualify an employer for an exemption to the CalSavers mandate. Let's take a quick look at the CalSavers main webpage itself. Under the section Frequently Asked Questions, under the section for Employers Eligibility, CalSavers itself makes it clear that as an employer, what do you have to do to facilitate CalSavers and who is an eligible employer. So this section talks about how state law requires employers with 5 or more employees to eventually offer CalSavers as an option to their workforce if they don't already offer a retirement plan. And the list of qualified retirement plans that CalSavers will consider as making the employer exempt from the mandate are listed here. Let's take a closer look at the plans that CalSavers offers as alternatives. We have to ask the question, which of these plans are truly options for a typical employer? There are some plans that are limited by size, other plans here that are limited to just nonprofit entities, technically also government entities and teaching organizations. And there's also some of these plans that come with mandatory employer contributions. So if you don't fall into any of those 3 categories, you can eliminate a number of these programs. For example, the plan that's only available to employers with less than 100 employees is the Simple program. That plan just isn't an option once you have more than 100 employees. Also, the 403B plans are eliminated unless you're a nonprofit entity. The pension plans and profit sharing plans come with mandatory employer contributions. Also, 403A plans come with mandatory employer contributions, and the simplified employee pension plans come with mandatory employer contributions. So that just leaves 401k plans and payroll deduction IRAs. But it gets a little more complicated than that, because with 401k plans, there's really 2 different types of 401k plans. There's the traditional 401k plan and the Safe Harbor 401k plan. And the Safe Harbor plan does come with mandatory employer contributions. Let's take a closer look at your remaining options, the traditional 401k and the payroll deduction IRA, as where we really need to focus our attention. But before we do so, I want to show you a government publication that I think will be very helpful in giving you an overview of all of these plans. The Employee Benefit Security Administration is the internal department of the Department of Labor that oversees retirement programs. Also, they share jurisdiction with the IRS on retirement plans. They put together this publication 3998, and we think it's very valuable to give you an overview on your options with regards to employee benefit programs. When you pull that document up on the internet, you'll see something like this. It's a great short couple of pages with densely packed information about these retirement plan options. It'll explain why an employer should consider a retirement plan for their workers, what are the tax advantages, what are some of the other incentives that the employer might have, and a little bit of facts about retirement plans. But most importantly, it'll have this grid that'll show all of the information about the kind of plans that we've been talking about. We'll come back to this in just a moment. This information in the packet will also describe in a little bit more detail how payroll deduction plans work, how simplified employee pensions work, how simple IRAs work, how profit sharing plans work, how 401k plans work, and also describing how safe harbor rules on 401ks would impact your company. Also, how the automatic enrollment in a 401k plan would work. It also gives a little bit of information about defined benefit plans, the type of pension plan that has really gone out of style, but some employers still have these types of programs. There's also a collection of references for additional information. We think so highly of this publication that we will include it in the hard copy materials that you'll get with Easy Savings for You. Let's take a look now a little bit closer to that grid of information regarding all of these plans. As you can see, there's a lot of information on this page. We'll take a closer look at some of these options. Over here on the far left-hand side, you'll see a number of categories. The key advantage of this type of program, the employer eligibility, the employer's role, contributions to the plan, maximum annual contributions to the plan, the contributor's options, the minimum employee coverage requirements, withdrawals, loans, and other payments, and the vesting provisions. Across the top, there's different types of programs, starting with the payroll deduction IRA, and the SEP plan, and the simple IRA plan, profit sharing plans, safe harbor 401ks, automatic enrollment 401ks, which is really a feature that could be added to either the safe harbor 401k or the traditional 401k, and category of defined benefit pension plans. With this information, you should be able to get a quick overview of the whole range of options that you have when considering which retirement plan makes the most sense for your company. Before we leave this topic of IRS publications, there's another one that we think you should become familiar with. This one is publication 4587, and it deals specifically with payroll deduction IRA programs. When you pull the 4587 publication up, it'll look something like this. This payroll deduction IRA guide for small businesses is another helpful, very easy to read guide on how these programs work. In particular, we think it's important to highlight what the IRS and Department of Labor talk about in regards to payroll deduction IRA programs. You'll see that here on this page. The advantages of a payroll deduction IRA is that it's simple for employees to set up an IRA. Employees can make all of the contributions. There are no employer contributions. Employees find that smaller regular contributions can be made in a more manageable way through payroll deduction. There's low or sometimes no administrative costs. There's no filings with the government to establish these types of programs or any annual ongoing reporting. There's no minimum number of employees required. And the program is not considered to be technically an employer retirement plan for the purposes of ERISA. And a program like this certainly can help retain and attract new employees. In terms of setting up a payroll deduction IRA program, it's as simple as retirement plans get. We'll talk more about the payroll deduction IRA program in a later video, but we think it's important that you become familiar with the information in this publication from the IRS and Department of Labor. Before we leave this video, we'd like to highlight a few key points. CalSavers provides a pretty long list of possible retirement plans which an employer might have instead of having to comply with CalSavers program in terms of participation or in terms of penalties. But when we take a look at that list, and if you've got 100 or more employees and you're an employer that is not seeking to make contributions to employee retirement accounts, the list dwindles pretty quickly. You're left with basically the 401k traditional option and the payroll deduction IRA with automatic enrollment. If you're an employer that is concerned about ERISA responsibilities to the Department of Labor and to the IRS and the fiduciary responsibilities that come with such a program as a traditional 401k, that employer would be left with really having to look at the payroll deduction IRA with automatic enrollment as really the only remaining option. One important note is that regardless of which retirement plan you decide to go with as an alternative to CalSavers, you'll need to go on the CalSavers website and register your company as having one of those other programs. We will go over the details of how to do that in another video. We look forward to having you take a look at the remaining videos to get deeper information on ERISA responsibilities and 401k options and other information that will lead you to the right decision about your retirement program.